wish everybody a good morning. Of course, it's morning for me. I don't know what time it might be when you're watching this video. But we're down here at Bogey Creek Preserve today. And this is just a trail area. You can ride horses down here, or you can hike or do whatever, and it's mostly just a lot of woods, and it goes down to the creek down here. And we're gonna probably walk down all the way to the creek, maybe not, just depends on how I feel. But my channel is Florida Pioneers, and I like talking about the pioneers of Florida, but I have other interests as well. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the Knights Templar. Just something that I've been thinking about the last few days. By no means am I going to go through the whole history of the Knights Templar. I'm just going to hit a few highlights while I make this little walk today and get some exercise. But I kind of have a connection to them in a way. One of my direct ancestors was actually the Holy Queen of Jerusalem, Sibylla, the sister of Baldwin. So anyway, there's a lot of mystery and intrigue with the Knights Templar. Some of it's right, some of it's wrong. A lot of it's just speculation. But anyway, around, I think it was 19, the Templars was formed by the Pope. Hugh de Payne was their first commander, and there were 9 of them. I don't remember all the names, but they were all basically French noblemen that took vows of chastity and devoted their life to the church. And they were originally on paper, and I use that term lightly, originally on paper, there were formed to protect the Europeans on their pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Now, the Muslims and the Christians were fighting in the Middle East, and Jerusalem switched hands many times between the Christians and the Muslims. Probably the most well-known Muslim was Saladin, who conquered Jerusalem a couple of times, if I remember correctly. But anyway, on paper, they were charged with protecting the pilgrims. So anyway, these 9 knights set out and went to Jerusalem. Well, when they got there, they went and seen, don't remember which Baldwin it was, there was 4 of them, I think. But he let them headquarter basically where Solomon's temple once stood. Now, I think that that was their original intent all along, was to excavate and look for things, treasures if you will, where Solomon's temple once stood. So, in between doing their protection job, they were digging tunnels, which have been found in recent times, actually, or relatively recent times. So they excavated and they excavated, and they were there for a period of time. Then all of a sudden, the Templars, the 9, just picked up and left Jerusalem. Well, they went to Rome pretty much straight away, which leads me to believe that they found something. Maybe it was what they were looking for, maybe it wasn't. Nobody knows for sure exactly what they found, or if they found anything at all. Some people seem to think that they found the Ark of the Covenant. Some people think they found a testament written by Jesus Christ himself. Some people think they found the Holy Grail. So regardless to what it was they found, they thought it was important enough to take it to Rome. Now, this gave them enough power. Now, whether they turned whatever this was over to the Pope, or whether they kept whatever this was and held it for ransom, so to speak, for power, I don't know. Here again, it depends on who you listen to, what they actually found and what they did with it. But anyway, the Templars become a powerful organization. So, eventually, skipping ahead a little bit, the Templar organization grew. Now, when you became a Templar, you gave up all of your worldly possessions. And of course, this all went to the Templar treasury, because you not only took a vow of chastity, but you also took a vow of poverty. So if you were a Templar, you owned nothing. You had no title. You had no money. In fact, one of their symbols was the two knights riding one horse. That signifies poverty. So, anyway, with all this land in France, properties, or whatever, they become rather wealthy organization. So what they decided to do was they actually started, for lack of a better term, what would be the forerunner of the modern day banking system. Now what they would do is travelers that were going to the Holy Land you need a lot of money to go. Couldn't set off broke. Long way. So people were afraid of being robbed along the way. So people would deposit money with the Templars for a fee, of course. They would deposit money with the Templars and be able to draw on that money when they got to Jerusalem. So, excuse me, the Templars got even richer. Well, not only did they have that, they loaned money as well for a percentage. And a lot of the kingdoms at the time, a lot of these kings and queens of Europe had lavish lifestyles. They had wars that cost money. You name it. Just the general expenses of running a kingdom. So they had to have money to do this. And sometimes they had the money to do it, sometimes they didn't. So a lot of times these kingdoms would take out loans from either other countries or organizations like the Templars. Well, King Philip of France was one of these kings that needed money. So he borrowed money from the Templar, not just once, but many times actually, to the point where he owed him a lot of money. So he really didn't want to pay it back, and I don't think whether he wanted to or not. I don't think he had the money to pay him back. So he devised a plan. He thought, well, if they get rid of the Templars, then I don't owe anybody no money because there's nobody to pay the money to. So he convinced the Pope that the Templars were devil worshippers and they were doing things against the church. And he convinced the Pope that they needed to do away with the Templars. Now, he done it in a sneaky way. He sent out sealed messages, dispatches, whatever, to where they needed to be. And on October the 13th, 1307, the Templars were all gathered up and they were put into prison. Now, he kept them in prison for about 2 years, if I remember correctly, before he put them to the torch and burned them at the stake for heresy against the church. So that ended his obligations to the Templars. If I remember correctly, they rounded up 40-odd Templars and imprisoned them. Well, there were more than 40 Templars. There were some that escaped. And legend goes that the ones that escaped still had a lot of the money, and other legends that they still had whatever this was they found in Jerusalem. Like I say, a lot of people think it was the Holy Grail or the actual Ark of the Covenant. This is a pretty creek down in here. This is Bogey Creek. Real nice and peaceful. It was foggy this morning and it's just cleared up good to where I could get out and do filming. But I can smell the salt water. It's good. It's a good smell. If I'd have been smart, I'd have brought my fishing pole with me. Threw it a couple of times. But anyway, back to the brief story on the Knights Templar. Some of the Templars escaped with their lives and fled to England. And there's actually some churches in the UK that are dedicated to the Templar Church. One of them is actually Rosalind Chapel, where it's believed that Mary Magdalene, who some claim was the wife of Jesus. That's another story I might go into one day and what I believe about that. But anyway, they escaped to England, was there for a while. Of course, like I say, they were persecuted and they were chased. So I think it got too hot for them in England, Scotland. And I think that they left there, got on a ship, and I believe they come to what would North America. I'll call it North America. I won't call it the United States. And they come to North America. Now, a while back, I'm not mistaken, it was up in Michigan. They found a tablet and a cornerstone of some type up there that actually had Templar style engravings on it. Now here again, this is all which scholars you listen to is which. But I believe it's highly possible that the Templars got here before Columbus did. So whether they did or whether they didn't, basically the Templar organization was undercover. And Templars still exist today. The most well-known Templar organization, there's many of them, of course, is the Masons' York Rite. Once you become a 33-degree Mason, you're pretty much in the York Rite considered a Knights Templar. And there are other organizations that claim rights to the Templar name, and you can join those if you want to. But it just goes to show you that you look back through history, and this is why I always say, know your history, because if you don't, you're bound to repeat it. But it almost kind of reflects our lives today, the way things are going, where you get greedy people that are in charge, so to speak. I'm not going to name any names. I think we all know who they are. Or if you've got any common sense, you know who they are. And we've got that same thing going on today. They want to get rid of people that have enough common sense to know what's going on, one way or another, whether it be their reputation or more drastic measures. But that's another video too on politics. But I've always been interested in the Templars, and like I say, I could do many videos on the Knights Templar. They were the original organization was only around for about 200 years. But there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts. And some of it's true to fact, but a lot of it's just speculation. Nobody's alive today that was alive then that can tell us one way or the other. We have to go by history. And history is written by the people who win the argument, the war, whatever you want to call it. They are the ones that prevail at the end, and they're the ones that tell the story. So, history is not always 100% correct. The only way we know true history is through artifacts and archaeology, which prove things, pretty much. And not everything has that archaeology to back it up. So, anyway, that's my little talk on the Knights Templar. Now, you can believe it or not. Like I say, this is all my opinion, for what it's worth. So, anyway, I appreciate you spending time with me today and listen to me ramble a little bit. And I always ask you to like and subscribe, please. I'd appreciate it. I do have a Patreon if you want to contribute to my endeavors to allow me to do a little bit more than what I'm doing. But anyway, regardless, whether you do, whether you don't, I appreciate it. And like I say, I do this for my enjoyment, not for any gain of any kind. So once again, thank you for listening to me ramble. Have a great day, and God bless you.